There we go. All right, so besides the palette paper, the canvas, and then this is a canvas sheet. We've actually got 2 today because we're going to need 2 canvas sheets or 2 canvases to do practice on. One's going to be for clouds, the other will be for brush work. You'll see down here, I've got some paper towel, which I like to, when I dip my brush in the water, I often get too much water on the brush. So I may like push it like this, or even squeeze it with my hand. So there's not too much water and your brush, so your brush is wet but not watery. We're gonna probably clean our water a couple of times throughout this exercise. So go ahead and get, oh, and here's Hermes. Here's her New Year's look at Hermes. Is probably going to cause problems.
To know good.
Yeah, exactly.
My guys are very naughty as well today.
Yeah. Sandra, you give me a lot of comfort always when you talk about it. It always makes me feel, I might actually drop him a little food so he's distracted and might get tired and fall asleep again. Okay. Hey.
Leah, if I don't have palette paper, can I use a normal palette to mix colors?
Use a what?
Like this like kind of palette mixing thing.
You can, absolutely. That's more for watercolor, but that'll work. You can also use a plate. You might find you need more space, those little dips. So you might want something that's more flat. Sorry, why am I not? Zoom. There we go. Okay, there we go. Here we go. You want something with space. You'll see as we start to mix. This is going to be important. Is everybody excited? Are you excited? Oh my God, it's so exciting. Okay, so let's start by putting some colors, some of the colors that we're going to be using. Actually, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by laying 2 colors down. If you remember, I asked you to get cadmium yellow, just a bright yellow, and a bit of cadmium red, which is a very orangey red. We're going to talk more about that in frequent weeks, what that means right here on the canvas. So red, yellow. Over here, my brush is sitting in the water. So I'm getting it wet and dipping it in my palette. So it's wet, but I want it to be a little bit dry. And then I'm going to take some yellow, and I'm going to just take a little corner of the cadmium red and mix it in. So I get a pretty orange on my brush. And then I'm going to dip my brush in the water again. So I have a nice watery layer, and I'm going to cover this whole canvas sheet with orange. It's kind of an orangey yellow. Oh, darn it. Here, hold on. 1 second. I see. Trying to get you to be able to see this without the glare. It's tricky. I have to turn the lights off in the studio and then, but anyways, we'll figure it out. So this is this kind of orangey layer. Notice I'm using a lot of yellow and just a tiny touch of red. I'm not doing this half and half thing. I want the whole thing to have a layer of color. This is what we call toning the canvas or building up an underpainting. We're going to talk a lot about that in a few weeks. So you want this all over. And then we're going to put it aside. Here it is. I'm just going to put it aside over here and let it dry. While I take a new piece of paper or new canvas sheet. So we're going to be doing a lot of painting exercises. I can show you kind of briefly what these look like. Where are you? Well, I don't have the one. We'll build it up and I'll show you there. So one of the things you can do is after we do an exercise, we can actually paint over this with another color or with white and use it again. So I want you guys to be able to use everything, figure out how, reuse it, not waste too much. But we are going to spend a little time with this plain blank sheet. I'm still working on positioning here. Here, let's go this way. We want to avoid the glare. That's what we're trying to do. Oh, that's better. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about color theory. You can put colors on your palette as we talk about this. So go ahead and give yourself a little bit of ultramarine blue. That's this kind of dark blue color. I'll give a little bit more. You can put a little bit of red, more red on your palette, like this. Put these in this position. A little bit of yellow. And you're going to see that these are what we call the primary colors. Does anybody know what primary colors are? What does that mean?
Red, blue, and
anybody know anything about primary colors? Hi, Diana.
Hi. It's the colors that all colors are based on.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'm not hearing you guys. Sorry, I had my headphones turned down again.
red,
yes,
blue,
Kaina.
and yellow.
Yeah, red, blue, and yellow. And what are primary colors?
They are the
Diana
colors
said-
that everything is based on.
Right. You
Colors
use
based on.
these primary colors to mix everything else. Yes, Kaina. Did you want to say anything else?
No.
Okay. So you knew the answer to that question. Excellent. Right. So, and you'll notice, and we're going to talk about this, there are many different blues, yellows, and reds, and they do different things. But for the basis of this lesson, you can see if you want to, you can take your brush and pull some yellow in between the blue and take just a touch of blue and mix it. And what color do you get when you mix yellow and blue? Green. Yes, exactly. So go ahead and do that. Mix a little green in between these two. Clean out your brush.
Leah, are you using water to mix the colors or just clean your brush?
I'm mostly just using it to clean my brush.
Okay.
I mean, the brush is always wet, but I don't want it to be too wet. So
Okay.
notice here, I'll show you. Actually, I think you can see this. So I will drip my brush. So I just cleaned my brush out. By doing that, I dipped it in the water.
Okay.
I patted it with this paper towel, right? So it's wet, but it's not dripping. And then try taking a little bit of yellow here and mixing a touch of red. We just did this. And what color do we get? Orange. Yep, exactly. So now I'm going back here. I'm dipping my and then lastly, I'm going to mix, take a bit of red here and pull in just a touch of blue. And what color do I get?
Like purple?
Yes, it's purple. Although you use these two colors, you're not going to get a really purple. You're going to get a more muddy brown purple. If you really want a vibrant purple, you're going to need a different red. But for the purposes of this exercise, you can see that these 6 colors, these are the primaries, and these are what we call the secondary or the tertiary colors. These are so important. Why? Hold on. So if you think of this as a wheel, right? These colors, which are across the color wheel, have a very important relationship. So red and green blue and orange. These are, I'm drawing this so that you can really see, these are kind of opposites. They're across the color wheel from each other. Blue and orange Anybody know what these are?
Complementary.
Yes, these are the complementary colors, and they are very important. Okay, yellow and purple, because if you put complements next to each other, they will pop each other forward. Popping means they push forward. And that is why you'll see a lot of school colors, a lot of sports teams will have like yellow numbers and purple jersey, right? Red and green, Christmas colors, blue and orange. These are really common because we want like everything to come forward. So when you put these colors next to each other, they make, if you put these colors next to each other, they pop each other forward. If you mix these two colors together, the complements together, blue and orange, red and green, yellow and purple, you create a shadow grade neutralized version of the other. So all of our paintings that have shadows in them, which they all do, instead of taking black and using black in your shadows, you're going to be mixing a complement of whatever color you're painting. So if you're painting an orange, for example, here, because I've got a lot of orange and I'm just mixing on the palette right now. If you're painting an orange, here's a circular orange. I'm not going to put black in the shadow area. I'm going to put a little bit of blue in my orange to create an orangey shadow. See that? Because that's what's actually happening. It's not a black shadow. It's a shadow that's influenced by the color that we see when it's in the light. So these complements are going to be very important. They're important enough that I'm going to take a picture of this and send it over. Hold on. So that you have it.
Hey guys, get out, it's my project.
And go ahead and ask questions as we're going along, as always. All right, so we're going to paint clouds today. But before we do that, we need to practice. I want us to practice brush strokes. Here we go. So there are basically, believe it or not, like, do any of you knit? You know how there's like basically two things in knitting, right? There's knitting and there's purling. And then there's all these variations from within.
Leah, sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
you sent the picture to the wrong group.
Oh, I did. Thank you, Diana. Oops, you're right. Here, hold on. Let's try that again. Whoops. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Here we are. There we are. Right. So painting, believe it or not, is made up of two types of brush strokes. We have, so I'm just getting some paint here. We have what's called hard edges. Okay. So I'm getting some blue. Now I'm coming over here and I'm getting my water wet so I can get the blue off. I'm pushing it into I'm cleaning it basically, pushing it into my paintbrush. All right. And then here, let's do this. Actually, let's do some orange so we can see. There's hard lines. And a hard edge means that between two colors, there is literally a hard edge. So I don't know if you can see how I did this. Here, I'll do it again. I want you to practice taking different colors on your palette and creating hard edges. It means there's a very solid line. So notice I'm kind of holding the brush and stroking it. By the way, you should be using a very thick brush. I don't want to see any thin brushes here. All of this whole assignment is going to be done with it. This is about 1 inch or like 8 centimeters. It's maybe a little bit less, maybe 6 centimeters, millimeters. I'm coming back here. And notice also how prominent, even with the shitty Zoom screen, notice how prominent. See how I'm just laying this down flat? So I want you guys to practice creating some hard edges. You can use any colors you want. You can use any of the colors that are on your palette. Oh wait, I'm gonna label this first. This is a hard edges. These are hard edges. So you're gonna hear me talk about edges a lot as well, because edges are all over paintings. And working on a painting really isn't about getting every detail. It's just about getting edges. So go ahead and try it out and send me some pictures of what you're doing. And does anybody find this kind of exciting? I think it's exciting. It's exciting. It's exciting. For those of us who are natural painter, like who love to paint, it's like such a difference between, even though I love pastels and I actually love to draw, painting is its own thing. I think because we're adding color in the mix. And every week, guys, we're going to do a different, demo. We're going to paint different things, but I'm going to try and highlight for you what the similarities are. So if you ask me, do you want help with color mixing? Nice, Anik. Very nice. You might want to smooth out that little lump that's on the blue on the top of the bottom one, right? Clean it up. Only because when we see it, but very
Leah?
nice. Yes.
Why isn't this color coming off when I'm dipping it in the water? I'm using oil paint.
You can't use oil paints with water. You cannot use oil with water. I wish you told me you were using oil paint.
Weren't we supposed to use oil paints?
No, it's acrylic paint, honey.
Okay, I got oil paints because the mail we got was oil paint. Okay, that's what I'm thinking, that why is it so different, the texture?
Okay, all right. So so throw that brush, throw the brush away.
Okay.
Well, maybe not throw the brush away. Go and wash your brush.
You can dip the brush in turpentine.
You can dip the brush, well, but no, kind of, because it's, yes. So I'm trying to think of how to clean this brush off so that it, all right. You are going to need, Rashmi, your setup is going to be different and more difficult. So what you need are 2 glass jars, one with turpentine in it, and one with a little bit of linseed oil or alkyd. So you go and get those things. And I want you to dip your brush in the turpentine and then go wash it with soap and water. A little bit of soap.
Okay, so I'll do that, and I'll switch to acrylic. I have that as well, but I thought this is an oil painting class.
No,
that's why I was thinking that
oil.
why is my color texture is so different than
yours? Yeah. That
getting...
basically will ruin the painting. So they don't mix. Do you not have? Do you have acrylics with you now?
Yes, I do.
Then
but I'll just clean this.
Yeah, clean that brush and then come back with acrylics. Okay.
Sure.
Glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, I was thinking, why isn't it going off? Why is it so hard harder than acrylic? Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. I always start people off with acrylic. We're going to spend a month doing acrylic demos. After that, I'm going to move to oil, and you can move to oil with me or you can stay with acrylic. It's up to you guys. These materials are expensive. And as you can see, there's setup with everything, right? Like there's a whole setup with oil, as you're starting to hear, that doesn't really fit with acrylic. But so I want you to learn acrylic first. It's easier, less messy, less toxic, less trouble. And then, and also acrylics dry fast. You'll notice by this time, well, it's still a little bit wet. The acrylics will dry in about 10 minutes. Oils dry. Annika, there we go. Yeah. Yep, good hard edges. Very nice. Try a couple others. Practice.
Okay.
Well, I see you. Everybody practice with this. And then I'm going to show you how to make a soft edge. Practice a little bit more. And when you guys are ready, tell me. I'm going to show you how to do a soft. Well, maybe we want to wait till Rashmi gets back.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's also good to know that when you go between oil and acrylic, you can paint over acrylic with oil, but not the other way around.
Yes, exactly. You can start a painting with an acrylic base and then but even better to have probably a varnish in between, a layer in between of like some transparent layer of varnish. But yes, you can go over acrylic with oil, but absolutely you cannot put oil on acrylic.
I'm here. Yes, you can show the soft edges. Sorry. I
Okay,
take away
great.
everything.
Okay, so I am going to, oh, you had me worried there for a second. So I am going to move us over to, so hard edges are things like where the horizon line meets like the background, right? Meets like the sky. It's a very definitive edge, and we definitely have them in paintings. All paintings have some hard edges to them. However, most of the edges in paintings are what we call soft edges. So to get a soft edge, I need to do this. I need to lay down my paint. And once again, I'm getting it wet. I'm pushing it off. I'm cleaning up my brush so it's wet, but not too wet. And then I'm gonna, like the hard edge, lay this down. And then watch this. I'm gonna blend it across so that I don't see that strong. And mostly I can load my brush with more paint if it's too watery. I'm going to get rid of that hard line. See how I'm almost tapping. I'm almost tapping. I'm going to do that again. I want you to watch this. So you see the difference between these two? There's a significant difference. There is no hard, you cannot see the hard line. It's more like there's a transition, a soft transition between yellow, then we've got this orange to red. Often I like to bring light into dark. I'm going to do that again with a different color, maybe with blue this time, because the light kind of blends into the dark more. Every time I'm doing a blend, both sides have to be wet. So the tricky thing with acrylic is that it dries fast. So if you spend a lot of time mixing, see how I'm kind of coming across like this? I'm almost pulling in. So here we get a kind of a green transition. So notice the difference. Almost everything in painting is soft edges. Virtually, you're going to be doing way more blending between your colors and your darks and your lights than you are going to have hard edges. And when people ask me things like, how do you do skin? How do you do fur? How do you do feathers? It's always this. So this is the penultimate blending, soft edges. Here, let me label it. Soft edges. I'm going to send you a picture of this. I want you to practice it. I want you to fill this thing. Now, don't totally fill it because we're going to do a little color mixing too. Blended edges. It's the pearl of knitting. Soft edges, blended edges. So you really got to know how to do it. It's also harder than it looks. It also is a lot of practice. It's like one of those Zen things where it's simple in its form, but the many different ways you do it is all we'll be practicing, right? So let's see here. Here we go. We've got the difference between hard and soft edges. Where are you? Here we are. Okay, I just sent that. So I want you to practice that. Get a bunch here. And clouds, of course, are nothing but soft edges. There's not one hard edge in painting clouds. It's all soft edges. So that's what we will be practicing when we start painting our clouds.
Sorry. Leah?
Yeah.
Hi. So I don't have a cadmium red. I have a pale germanium lake and a dark cadmium orange. And in red, I have carmine permanent and Indian red. And
I mean,
medium
what
flesh.
I would take the red that looks the most orange, not the cadmium orange, but the red that looks the
Okay.
most orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
In
Got it.
general, it's good. You'll notice with the cadmiums, there is a list, Rashmi, of the acrylic colors of the colors that are
Yeah.
best for mixing that I'll be using.
Yeah.
The
I have those in
cadmiums
oil. I don't know why I have everything in oil, not in acrylic.
must mean you're meant to be painting in oil, so you'll be ready in February when we move over to oil. It's funny, I once tried to do a lesson where like I did the same demo in oil and acrylic. It was different enough and confusing enough that I decided not to do it. So, but some of, like I said, you will find there's some similarities and then some differences. It's interesting because I have not painted in acrylic in 8 or 9 months. I have been doing all oil. I go through phases. Usually in the winter, I move to acrylic because oil takes too long to dry. But I've been really enjoying oil, so it's fun for me to remember. Get into oil acrylic with you guys, and quite frankly, acrylic is the most accessible medium because it doesn't require so much. You know, you work with water, so it's kind of clean. It's easier. You need less materials. When we get to oil, you're going to find we have to store things in jars, and it's a little bit more of a hassle, but it's so pretty. How is the blending going, you guys? What do you think?
I get it too watery.
So squeeze your brush. Watch
Yeah.
this. Watch me, Annika. Squeeze your brush in
Yeah.
between like
Okay.
that. So that normally I have this little thing here where I spread it. So yeah, using too much water means you just got to get some of the water off your brush. The water is kind of more for cleaning. Now I might introduce a palette knife. So I tend to be somebody who works with my brush a lot. I do a lot of my mixing with my brush. I just clean it up a lot in between. I really should show you guys mixing with a palette knife. So maybe next week I will come in with that. And for those of you who don't know what a palette knife is, let me get it. Hold on. This is a palette knife. So when you do this, you don't have to clean your brush out so much. So we're going to officially, if you can get one of these, that's great. You can see it's got kind of an angled handle so that when you mix things, like over here, if I want to mix this.
And it's so much easier to do backgrounds with the palette knife.
Yes, although, and we'll be exploring that later. Better with, I find it better with oil than acrylic on that.
Okay.
You're still going to need to clean it up in between, but so yeah, so I tend to be so number one, I trained myself mostly on painting. So you're getting the, how I taught myself, although I have taken a couple of painting classes. Mostly I have been trained in drawing. So this is the way I like to work. You'll see Marie has a different way of working. She's a little bit more, she uses a palette knife a lot. She does a lot of mixing. Yes, Olga, very nice. I particularly like the one on the left. It's harder than it looks, isn't it? But doesn't the one on the left
it looks
a little
it
like
looks easy, but it's so difficult actually to do it correctly.
It is. It is. Yeah, like the one on the, like this one on the right, the second one isn't working so well. The green one looks good. Annika, this is not, the only one that looks like soft edges to me is on the top. So you've just recreated with the blue and the yellow, you've just recreated your hard edges just with a brush. So we need to get rid of that line. You need to be doing more brushing. So this is really important to practice because it's not as easy as it looks. It's like the Zen part of painting. So, and don't be upset if you can't quite get it right. This is actually the ultimate practice. So keep practicing. I want to see you guys do this because all of this is clouds. All of the clouds are all soft edges. In the meantime, we're letting our orange canvas that we're going to let that dry. So Rashmi, you should probably make another orange canvas.
Yeah, I'll do that. I made one with oil as well. It's looking weird. I was like, why isn't it soft?
Why isn't this
Like, I was
working?
getting-
Leah, can you just
Yeah.
repeat that bit about the orange canvas? Because
Oh, you missed that part too?
Yeah.
You're going to take a second canvas and you're going to mix yellow and red, and you're going to cover the whole canvas with a light orange coat and then let it dry.
Okay, thanks.
There it is. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. In the next, I want to see more people's practices in terms of your, let's see here. Yeah. And this is such a hugely important part. Oh, Kitty, stop it. He was being so quiet.
He enjoys the class with us.
He totally does. He totally does. He
And
would
he's
love it if
wishing
you were
us
all
happiness.
actually here. He would just think that was the greatest. He loves
Is
all the
he a
people all the
social
time.
kitty?
What's that?
Is he a social kitty?
He's very social, and because he doesn't have any cats to play with, really, because Muka won't play with him, you know, it's humans who play with him. So he doesn't really have any interaction with other cats very much, except to be slapped away when he tries to claw them. So- if I'd thought about it, we might have gotten 2, but I just can't even imagine 2. Oh my God.
No.
2
It
is
would
3
be very
is a
hard
lot.
on Musa.
It would be too hard on Muka. Too hard on Muka. So send it over, guys. Hello. Morale. Is that your guy?
That's Lion.
Hi, Lion. Oh, he's looking right at the camera.
Let's see, step on me.
Oh, no, 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 you cannot. Nope. Oh, we might do a switch. You know what, you guys? I'm going to switch him out into the, I'll be right back. You practice. I'm switching cats.
Olga, do you have your cat with you?
Shma.
Yeah, she's sleeping, but I can show it to you. Just wait 1 second.
Our model cat.
Aw.
Yeah. So it's like real Smurfa cat. And she was sleeping for the half of the day after New Year, and she's like, what are you doing to me?
How old is Smurfa?
Those beautiful eyes.
And she's so calm because she is sleepy, but usually she is like,
Oh, you woke her up for us.
yeah, she was
You
sleeping.
take the revenge later.
Sorry, Smurfa. It's my fault.
But she will wait for 10 seconds and after that she will kill me for not giving her to
That's
sleep.
what I'm saying. She'll take the revenge later.
Yes.
How are you doing, Sandra?
Much
bet-
better, thank you. This chemo is a bit easier.
Oh, that
And
was
now
so
that
bad.
I'm not working so much,
Is this okay?
much better. So thank you.
Not bad. Good, kinda. I like it. I like it. Anybody else want to send me theirs? Have you? While I was.
I have sent mine.
Let's
Is
see.
this a total disaster or is it like, can it get better?
I don't know. It depends on what you want. I tend to avoid the words total disaster because you can always, very nice, Rashmi. So Rashmi, I want your hard edges to come right next to each other. There should be no space in between. No space. It just depends on what you want to do, kinda. I'm not exactly sure. So you tell me. The nice thing about acrylic paint is it dries and you can cover it up if you don't like it. It dries quickly, dries in like 10 minutes. So there are no disasters really in all painting. All painting can be redone. All painting can be corrected. Let's see other people's. I'd like to see other people's. Show me.
Leah, what kind of paper are we using? Are we
This
supposed to use?
this is just canvas pads.
Canvas.
So it's like a sheet here. Hold on. Sorry, hold on. Boy. So it's like little sheets of canvas without anything on top. So it's
Okay.
actually literally canvas. And because those are cheap and because they're easy to store, you could also use these boards, right? A canvas board.
Right, but not
Right,
for
which is-
practicing.
Well, yeah, sure. For practicing, that would be okay. I mean, whatever you can get
But
the
it's a
most
waste.
of. The point being that, like, yes, we want it to be kind of small. You all right there, Kitty? What's going on?
You know, it's so quiet. I think I could paint and work.
Yeah, try.
I think I might do that.
Yay. And you can do these similar things with pastels, Sandra. So you could, if you wanted to work with pastels, create a soft edge, a blended edge and a hard edge.
But actually, they will make my hands more dirty.
It will, that's true. So bad
Then I
for
have to
typing.
switch
So
to the
maybe
keyboard,
paint,
so-
yeah, so maybe painting.
I'm gonna
So
get
maybe-
my paint stuff.
I want to see more. Send me more. Send me your soft edges.
Ma'am, should I show you like the original picture from which I'm drawing?
Sure. Can you take a picture of it, kinda, and send it over the thread?
Actually, ma'am, I don't know where the phone is, so
Okay. I see the picture that you're drawing from. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay, I see it. Nice.
Is that okay? Is like the drawing I made okay, or
It's
is
hard
that-
for me, honestly, honey, it's very hard for me to see unless you can send me a picture of it. So let's just say yes, work on it this time. And next time have your phone with you so I can take a look at it. Does that work for you?
I can try to find like
Yeah, try to find it.
somebody else's phone.
Try to find it.
Actually, what has happened is because of that oil paint, my brush has become, I don't know why, it's just not sticking together. I've
Your
cleaned it a lot.
brushes, wait.
It's become, yeah, it's just become
Are you using
like
the
this.
same
See?
brush? Are you using the same brush? You shouldn't be using the
Yes, I
same.
don't-
You
I mean,
should not be using the same brush.
I have a bigger brush than this. Is that fine?
Yeah, use your
I
bigger
don't
brush.
have a 1-inch brush.
Yeah, yep. Use your bigger brush. Use the 1-inch brush. Yeah, you really don't want any oil paint mixing with your acrylic. That will actually cause your painting to disintegrate over time. There's no mixing those two. Send it over.
Too big.
Yeah, that's okay. It's also
too big.
it's okay. Like
I mean, it's fine.
we're moving to a new thing and you need to get set up for it, right? Like there's a whole setup. We were noticing in the last class on the West Coast, which was 2 days ago, we were noticing that like for some people, ooh, very nice, Anik. Very, very nice. How are you liking that? Are you enjoying it?
It's my first time with acrylic paint.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's feeling kind of good,
very
huh?
much actually.
And actually, it's a little bit easier than watercolor.
Lots of things are easier than watercolor.
Than watercolor.
Honestly saying. Although
blending
I
goes a
just
little
made
bit easier.
I placed just a big order for the new colors, and
Excellent.
because of the fact that I just seen the watercolor named Polish Blue, and I was super curious, so it went, just
Ooh, that's exciting.
10 pieces just to get a free delivery.
How excited. Exciting. Well, we're going to do all of it this year. Let's see more. Before we go on to the next step, which is mixing, I want to show you for clouds. I want to see. Let's see. Annika. So Annika, I'm still seeing a lot of, I want you to watch me do this because I'm still seeing a lot of like up and down, and that's really not what should be happening. You're going the wrong direction, I think, which is why you're having trouble. So watch me, really watch. I'm going to lay down some red here. And then I'm going to lay down some yellow here. And then my brush is going to go the opposite way. See?
Okay.
So I have a feeling you're going like this, and then you're recreating the lines. So you want to kind of go this is a good, so you want to go the opposite direction. To get rid of your hard line, you have to go the opposite direction of the line.
Okay.
That's a good way to think about it. Always going opposite direction to get rid of it.
Ma'am, I sent you a picture on WhatsApp.
Okay. Olga, top looks great. Bottom needs a little bit of work. The dark green is still kind of too strong a line.
Okay.
Okay, I see that. Kind of. Let's see. It's looking pretty good, honey. I think you can just keep going. Seems to be working. Carry on. It looks good to me.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, when I see two more, I want to see a couple more people's blended edges before we get to talking about mixing for this particular assignment.
Leah, can I have a question?
Yeah.
Once when I was trying to learn a bit more about watercolor, I read about those two techniques, like wet and dry brush.
Mm-hmm.
Does it apply also to acrylic?
It does. It really does. And when we do things like mountains and snow on mountains, it's very much that totally does. I can show you a little bit here because I think this is probably dried by now. So I could take here. I want to make sure my brush is pretty dry and is what we call loaded with color. So I can, let's see, kind of drag my brush. One of the ways I can get rid of my edges sometimes is to drag my brush, dry some wet paint over the edge. See, like that, so that it's not blending so much. So it's more like one color is sitting on top of the other. We're going to do a little bit of that when we get to our sky. So I'll show you a little bit more about that. But yeah, it's dry brush is hugely important because it helps us create certain techniques that we can't get when everything's wet.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for asking. That's a great. Let's see. Okay, so Emma, you're having the same problem that I think you're having the same. So are the bottom ones hard edges, or are they all supposed to be soft edges?
Also.
Okay, so you're having I want you to watch me Don't do anything but watch me right now, because I think you're having the same problem Annika had. Really watch. So I lay my first color down. And then I lay my second color down like this. Oops, it's too watery. Get more paint. All right. And then I take some of my, I put more, I'm taking more paint from my light color, and I'm going the opposite direction of the line to get rid of it. So I'm still seeing your line. I'm still seeing a strong line going up and down between your two colors in every section. You've just moved it over a little bit. Can you see that? So I want you to really watch. There's this, it's almost a tapping motion between the two wet edges. Tap, tap, tap. I'm going perpendicular, I'm going perpendicular to the lines, the original lines. I want you to try again. It's okay if it's hard. Annika. You know, Annika, you're gonna have to keep working on this.
Yes.
This is not, I'm noting you're struggling. Look at that middle bottom one. I want wet both sides of the yellow and the blue and try again.
Okay.
Right on top. So we should not see any of the straight line. I see straight lines in all yours. In the bottom one, you're doing a little bit better. The bottom one is a little bit better, but
Okay.
still, it's still looking too much like a straight line. That's
I have
okay.
a question.
Yeah.
Do we go from the lighter color to the darker, like this orange that you were mixing, or is there's no difference when we're mixing them?
There is difference. Mostly, you're going to go from the lighter to the darker. But occasionally, a darker subject is going to require that you go to the darker. It depends on the marks that you're trying to make, but most of the time, it's easier to go from light to dark.
Lighter to darker.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Great questions, you guys. Great questions. In 2 minutes, I want you to practice for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to show you some mixing for today's assignment. So there'll be a little bit of space left here to mix. We're going to add a couple of colors to our palette as well. I'll pull them out. Yellow ochre and okay. All right. So when you're ready, go ahead and add a couple more colors into your palette. We have cadmium, we have ultramarine blue, and instead of this bright yellow, we're going to use something called yellow ochre. So yellow ochre is also like yellow. It's but it's a totally different kind of yellow. It's like a mustardy color.
Yeah.
And you're going to have cadmium red, a little bit more cadmium red, and you're going to need a bit of white. So here's my white. Okay. What you're going to learn over time, so we are going to use ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and red. So once again, we're using primaries, but we're using different primaries, different colored primaries, so they're going to create different mixes. You won't get the beautiful purples or greens or really even oranges from these mixes. You're going to get kind of more muted colors, but those are really helpful for dealing with the natural world. Most everything in the natural world is more muted than we think. So let's talk about mixing. clouds, oh yes, and here, let me send you this picture as well. One of the things we're not used to thinking about with clouds is that they actually have sides, just like a cube. Here, hold on, not the document. I want to attach a photo. Hang on. I'm going to send you a sketch of what clouds really look like. So if you see on the WhatsApp thread, you've got this sketch. Clouds have sides. They have bottoms and they have tops. And depending on where the light is in a sort of normal daylit sky, the light comes from the top. And so the bottoms of the clouds are darker. So we're going to need to mix a shadow color for the clouds. Actually, let's start with the simpler task, which is to get our sky kind of ready to receive clouds. So I'm going to move this here. So before we talk about mixing shadows, I'm bringing back my orange, now dry canvas. So we're going to give ourselves a blue sky. Why would I put an orange base under a blue sky? Any thoughts on that? Why would
Complementary.
Yeah. So
Sun.
yeah. So
Sun is
although
actually orange. Yeah.
well, yes, that's also true, right? The light of the sun is yellow and orange. But also, I don't know if you noticed this, I'll show you up close, but when you lay your first color down, just like with pastels, it's kind of flat. Can you see that? So all paintings need to be built up in layers to have depth. We need colors under colors. And when I make a decision about what to put under my colors, I think about what's going to give my painting a bit of shimmer. Now, just like pudding, because this orange is dry, when I put blue on top of it, it's going to kind of shimmer, have a little bit of a popping sensation. So this is what I like to do. And I'm going to give you a couple of options as well, but we'll start with just the simple colors. I'm going to mix some blue with some white. With some white here, right? So I have oh wait, there we go. So I've got a blue, kind of a blue base. And then I'm going to start laying. I want to make sure my my paintbrush is not too wet. I'm going to start laying color down. Maybe I'll make it a little bit lighter on top of my orange sky. But notice I'm not scrubbing it. So this is a tendency that nervous painters tend to do. Watch this. Scrub, scrub. I go over the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, which means I have a kind of flatter looking color. If I just do one stroke, move along, one stroke, get more paint, one stroke, one stroke, one stroke, one stroke, one stroke, one stroke, one stroke. So I kind of cover my paper, my painting lightly. Some of that orange comes through. Now, once I've covered kind of an area like this, I might go back and kind of tap the edges so that I'm not seeing any strong lines. Your sky doesn't have to be kind of uniformly colored. So see how I've got this sky, and I'll take a picture of it. It's hard to see as much on the Zoom screen. So when I'm done covering it up, I'll take a picture of it so you can see it, but you can try it if you want. So I'm trying really hard not to, and notice I'm switching direction a lot. I'm trying not to go more than once or twice, one stroke, two on each area. I'm having to load my brush up a lot. You'll hear me use the term load up. That means really put a lot of paint on it. I might even have to mix more. So that my sky has a little bit more depth. So this is a little bit, Anik, the dry brushing that you were talking about, because the bottom color is dry. Oops, I'm gonna put this up a little bit. There you go. Now, before my painting dries, I'm going to come back over. See how I see there's a line here? I'm going to tap on it to get rid of it. You're going to hear, we're going to talk about this a lot, how we need to get rid of, we need soft, even if we're going to have different colors and values and we want to kind of spotted, we want to get rid of hard edges in many, many cases. So this is another example of getting rid of the hard edges while still creating some variation. Notice that your eye goes directly to the hard edge. That's why we need to get rid of it, because it's too distracting unless we want your eye to go to it. So you use a hard edge so that you can go. Oh, yeah, yeah. If you want to, you can also experiment with maybe kind of swirling. But I like this method of back and forth like this because it covers a little bit better. It's still going to look a little bit plain because we haven't got our clouds in yet. That's okay. And you can kind of, if you want to, you can use, if you have other blues, you can mix them into your sky as well. I'm just trying to keep it simple. But if you have some pretty turquoise or cerulean or anything like that, you can totally use that. Hold on, I'm gonna take a picture of it so you can see it. This is what my sky looks like right now. It's kind of on the medium darkish side. There we go. So my sky looks better than if I just put blue on it. Let me demonstrate for you. I'm going to move this over to the side. If I just laid blue and white on white canvas, this is what happens. If I just lay blue and white on the canvas, that's what happens. It's very flat. It's kind of boring. It does not have the dynamism of an orange base. So everything in painting is about layers. Eventually, we're going to talk about underpaintings, getting to layers. Every painting of ours is going to have some kind of underpainting, some kind of base. Let's go ahead and send me a picture of that when you've got a sky. That's done. Keep working on this. I can see there's areas that I can keep working. So I'm really trying to get rid of any hard vertical or horizontal lines in my mark making. Here's why. When you leave a mark that's very distinct in painting, the eye goes to it. And so if there's no obvious reason for it to be there, that's what we call a disconnection. There's a disconnect. You stop the viewer from believing in the world that you're building. So as writers, I would imagine, you have to have all of the pieces of the story in place so that people will believe the world that you're building. In painting, if your marks are bumpy and choppy when they shouldn't be, then the eye notices that immediately, and that becomes a less nuanced, mature painting, less, it bothers the eye. So now I have a feeling of like clouds.
Do we have to let the canvas completely dry after every coat of color?
Nope.
Leah?
It just depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on what you're trying to do. In this case, I wanted the orange layer to be dry, but when we start laying in the clouds, this doesn't have to be dry.
Blues.
It just depends on what we're trying to do, right? But, Sandra, your soft looks just like your hard.
Oh. I've moved on to the sky.
Right. Okay. I want you to pay attention to, and number one, your hard lines, there's no space between your colors with your hard lines. They are exactly, so essentially your hard lines is this. Here, let me show you. The hard line is
sorry.
this.
Right.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Otherwise, there's no edge, right?
Right.
We have paint everywhere, so. This is it is not an obvious thing. Hey, lady. Let's see. Yeah, nice, Anik. You may want to get rid of some of these marks. So,
Yep.
right, just keep tapping. Really, a lot of soft edges is kind of tapping more than, and pushing more than a hard line across. There will be times for kind of putting a heavy weight across your brush and pulling it like that, but that is not this assignment, interestingly.
Thank you.
Nice.
So I just did the orange, so I have to wait a bit because otherwise it's looking weird.
Yeah. You want to wait on the orange. Let that dry before you lay your, don't worry, you'll have plenty of time. Give yourself 10 minutes. Yeah, practice your soft and hard edges and some mixing. We're going to take a break and do some mixing. And Sandra, you could actually add your sky in as you're putting your clouds in. So don't worry about adding your sky. You can paint on the clouds on the orange sky and then add your sky around if you want to. So your blues around. So don't worry about that. Is anybody enjoying this yet? Is it all new and interesting and strange?
It is very strange because
Yep.
I'm
completely
unconsciously
new.
just grabbing for water, you know, and while it's.
Could you demonstrate again, please, the soft edges, Leah?
All right, watch me.
Oh.
Okay. All right, up. I'll do this down here so we can see it. So, my paint is drying. I'm ultimately going to have to. So, I start the same as I do with my hard edge, which means I put color right up next to, right? See, right? I put the two colors right next to each other. I create a hard edge. And then going the opposite direction of the line. Shoot, here, hold on. I can see that there's a little bit of glare there. I really want you to see this. Hang on. Here we go. And then I go the opposite direction of the green of the line, tapping across. See that?
In both directions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that I don't see, so I lose my, that strong line. So this is a hard line. And then here's a soft line. The key is that both sides need to be wet. So that's the big thing. And when you're doing hard edges, the edges, obviously there's no edge if the paint doesn't touch. So the paint needs to be right next to each other.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, anybody else want to show me their sky, or shall we just go into mixing for clouds?
I'm waiting for my palette to dry. The first
Okay, so let's do some color mixing for clouds. So find a little bit of space here, or maybe even on your palette. You can maybe just do it right on your palette. Okay, I'm cleaning out my brush. I have a bunch of yellow. This is actually a good time to switch your water out and run your brush under the water. So let's take a minute actually to clean out, get ourselves clean water. Run your brush, clean it out under the tap, and I'll be right there. I now have clean water and a clean brush because we're going to start mixing, color mixing. I might have to refresh a couple colors on my sheet here. In fact, I may even, I think I've got enough space here. Let's see what everybody's doing. Okay, Annika, not too bad. Nice, Emma. So Emma, you've got a lot of lines, lines going this way, hard lines, I can see, hard edges going this way and this way. So keep tapping around to get rid of some of those lines, but it's got a nice floaty feeling. Very nice. Okay. Annika, you could mix a little bit more white with your blue.
Okay.
Because we're not doing a dark sky, we're doing kind of a daylight sky.
Okay.
It can be dark, but not quite so dark. All right, so let's talk about clouds. Now that we know that clouds have sides, we're going to have to mix. And let me actually replenish my colors. You might find at this point that your colors have dried a little bit, so I'm going to give myself a little bit more, or you've run out of them. Cadmium red. I've got yellow ochre. I've got ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue is really one of my favorite mixing colors, particularly for nature. It's what we call a warm blue. We'll get into that idea of warm and cool colors next week as we go through, depending on what you want to do. Okay, so now I've got my brush wet. I'm tapping it till it's dry. So I'm making sure it's wet, but it's not dripping. Now, with a palette knife, if you've got a palette knife, I'll do this two ways. If you've got a palette knife, you can take, we're going to mix the shadow of the cloud first. So that's a little bit of red. See how I'm pulling this off with my palette knife? A little bit of yellow ochre, this mustardy color. More yellow ochre.
The palette knife is only for mixing, right? Can you paint with it?
Well, you can paint with it. You can totally paint
Okay.
with it. Some people do nothing but paint with a palette knife, but yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We're not doing that today.
Okay.
And then you can take a tiny little bit of blue. Not so much, not like a big chunk of blue, but a little bit of blue. Just little taps of blue. Until you've got something that looks not either red, kind of has a muddy brown color. I want a little bit more blue in there. There we go. And then I'm going to add some white to it to kind of knock it back a little bit. So it becomes almost a muted purple. I can see, and if you don't have something that's purple, if it's too brown or too yellow, add more blue in it. But it's this kind of mauvey purple. And I'm mixing white in. Should be kind of gray. Shouldn't be too red, shouldn't be too blue, shouldn't be too yellow. It should be a kind of combination of those things. If I'm using the palette knife, I'm going to need to clean it off with a paper towel in between before quickly before the paint dries. If I do this with a brush, I'm going to be taking a little bit of yellow, a touch of, a little bit of, whoops, red, a little bit more yellow, a little bit of blue. See, I'm just taking little bits and rolling them through. And then I'm going to take some white. And if I feel like my paint, this to me looks a little bit too red. So I'm going to mix a little bit more blue. I'm going to mix little bits more blue in until I get something that's a little bit more purple and less. And I can keep drifting in little bits of white too. So same here. So you can do it with your palette knife or you can do it with your brush. The advantage of doing it with your brush is if you're ready to start painting, you can just, once you mix, whip right on there onto your canvas. So I want you to practice here. Let me send you a picture of what this color looks like. And then the rest of what we're using is just white. So the big thing is to mix the shadow color. Here, let's see. Very nice, Olga. Very moody. I like it.
Thank you.
So here is the one I mixed with my brush. And here is the color I mixed with my palette knife. It's pretty similar. You might even add a little bit more white. And I'm going to actually go ahead and show you the actual cloud painting process so that, but I don't want you to start it until you've done some mixing. So let me show you what's going to happen. Now, your blue might be a little bit too wet. If you've still got just orange on your painting, that's okay. You can start with the orange and then layer your blue in around. You're going to start by taking some of your shadow color. And that's pretty dark. So I may want to add a little bit more light, a little bit more white to my color. Oh, nope. Now it's too light. There we go. Nice little medium color. So I'm going to add a bottom to my cloud. And I'm not really looking at any pictures of clouds. I'm just sort of remembering what clouds look like, right? They kind of have little puffy areas. Some kind of look like this. And then before my paint dries, I'm going to clean my brush off. I'm going to brush it off with the, sorry, I'm probably making you pretty dizzy now. I'm going to brush it off with the water. And then I'm going to grab straight white and I'm going to really load my brush. So look at how much white I've got. And right at the edge where I've added this shadow, I'm going to start tapping white, and I'm going to keep kind of going up. This is why it's important to do this with a big brush. See how I'm kind of going in sort of bigger circles?
My cat is helping me paint.
How nice. Sweetie girl. And I'm also going to kind of create a blended edge of the white into the shadow so that the shadow is still there, but I don't see a strong, see how I'm tapping? It's all basically tapping. It's all tapping. I'll do it again. Tapping. Oh, let's load my brush with just white, starting where the edge is for the shadow. So we want a shadowy edge. We want a transition of color, but nothing is very strong. Now at this point, and then sometimes, you know, clouds have these two layers. So see how I'm tapping this? So once you get a shadow color, show me your shadow color before you start painting.
What color was in it? Where in it?
Yellow ochre, cadmium red, ultramarine blue, and then some white to lighten it.
Oh.
But don't put the white in until you've mixed the other three colors. And you'll see, so nothing is done. So there's none of this. There's none of this. None of that. There's none of this stretching the brush across. That is never happening. Never once are you doing this. You are tapping always. So with clouds, it's all about tapping. Now I have looked at my sky and think, oh, I want my sky to be kind of brighter and prettier. So I happen to have this teal color, which I really like. I'm going to throw it in the mix. And I'm going to go around. I'm going to mix some teal and white. And I'm going to go around the edge of my clouds. Oh yeah, much nicer, much more bright, right? Notice still with this tapping motion. like this. And then I'm going to load my brush. I'm going to clean my brush and I'm going to get more white. Whoops, I'm running out of white. And before this edge dries, I'm going to take some white and I'm going to once again tap the white edge into the blue, the new blue that I just added. So everything is soft, right? There's no hard edges. There are transitions of color, some extreme, some subtle. Maybe, just for the fun of it, for the kick of it, I might decide to make my top layer orange. Maybe it's like a kind of sun. I want to see how this looks. I actually have no idea how this looks, so we'll see. Maybe I decide I want my outer color to be orange. Obviously, skies don't generally look like this. I'm just showing you different options of what you could do. So I go around with orange around my clouds. Ultimately, of course, I have to bring this color everywhere. Clean my brush off. Grab some white, tap. I might start with my white in the middle and come out. Because the middle of clouds are more solid. So they've got a little bit more density of color and paint in them. Oh, I might have lost a little bit of my shadow in there. So I may go back in and add that. So I'm going to go back in and grab more shadow color. I'm actually going to add it in. And then again, I'm going to clean my brush because I don't want this straight line here. And I'm going to grab some white and pull it over. Tapping, almost always tapping. So that's the technique, you guys. Let's see what you do. I have a very silly looking. I'll probably go back over. I'd actually mix both colors in.
Eesh.
It's not easy. Don't worry. If you fail the first time, that just means you're learning how to use your brush properly.
The whole thing is disastrous
Might be.
because my sky wasn't dry. So let me show you what it looks like.
Your orange sky wasn't dry?
No. So never mind the strokes. It's actually the color is like all over the place.
Well, just let it dry for 10 minutes and then try it again. Practice
Okay.
mixing while you're doing it. You'll notice that sometimes it's also easy for your cloud to get a little bit too crazy, to get big. So you can cut it back. Whoops, dang it. Hate that. Here, hold on. I'll take a look in a second, Sandra. I'm just trying to adjust
Yeah,
the...
but several possibilities of shadows, I think none of which work. But
There we go. So annoying. Ah, yes. It's like, you know, it's amazing. Like everything, including studio lighting, has to do with putting light away from where you're photographing. Like you cannot have light in any way close to where you're dancing. You guys would laugh if you saw where my lights were pointed right now. Here, hold on. Nice, Annika. Oh yeah, Sandra, just let that dry and then lay stuff on top.
okay.
Okay, Sandra, once again, these are two separate colors. They're not an edge.
Yeah, but 3 separate colors because there are 3 possibilities for the
Oh,
cloud
for your
shadows.
shading, shadows.
Yes.
Yes. Add more white to them.
Okay.
And I
thank
think
you.
the bottom one is the best.
Okay.
Okay, Anik, your edge. So number one, this part is way too orange.
Yep.
So you need to add a lot more blue to your shadow mix and more white. So it's way too orange and it's way too dark. So you need more white. And notice that you can't get rid of that edge. So you have a hard edge right here. And that is
Yes.
problematic. So what you want to do, I'm going to show you again, watch me. So before you do anything, watch me. So I'm grabbing some of my color and I'm going to lay it in here. of got it. My color got a little bit white. So let's see. Ugh. There we go. I'm laying in my color, which is more like a kind of a gray, right? Like that. Now I'm going to clean my brush off. I'm going to tap it off. And then I'm going to take basic white. Start by tapping in the middle, kind of where this edge is. And notice I'm going kind of around in a big circle. And I'm slowly bouncing into the shadow. See that? So there's not a strong edge. Hello, lady. And then I can go over with more white to make it a little bit whiter on the top. So there's two soft edges. There's the soft edge between where your shadow and your white part of your cloud meet, your light part of your cloud meet. And then there is the edge where the cloud meets the sky. All of those things are light. All of those things are soft, sorry. And almost always this is achieved with a tapping motion. Hey, lovely. Aw. Here's Mooka coming to say hello. Here, I'll take a picture of her. Hi. Oh, hi. She's the prettiest. Come here, come here, come here. Oh, yeah, she wants some pets, don't you? Oh, whoops. Here we go, here we go. Oh, she wants petting. She won't let me take a picture of her. Come on, show everybody how pretty you are. Oh, now she's on my lap. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's really
I don't
cute.
think this is going to dry anytime soon. because
You're
look-
probably using too much water, Annika. So take a paper towel and
it's-
tap the water.
It's wet on the other side.
What are you using?
I'm using what I had, which is a mixed
Like, okay.
media paper, which is also
Yeah.
supposed to be good for acrylic, but
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of mixed media paper, but do the best you can, or maybe give yourself a new, maybe lay out do a new one. Yeah, canvas is definitely more sturdy. Actually, Rashmi, that looks great. Are you using, so I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Are you using oil? You're using acrylic paint with water and a new brush,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So I
It's just
don't,
that my base was a little like darker. My orange base was a little darker than yours.
I actually think that's really
It's just coming.
beautiful. So Olga, my
Okay.
problem is I can't see your shadows in your clouds. They just look like puffs. So I think you should go over with lighter white on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you. And I think your sky might be too dark. So I would
Mhm.
like lighten out your sky so that you can't going around the edges of your thing. So there's two things here. And also notice your clouds are almost all the same shape. It's not really how clouds are, is it?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So even as you're practicing, where's my white? What did I do with my white? Ah, here it is. So you need to do two things. You need to slightly darken your base like
Yeah.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you need to go back over with white. And I want you to watch the movement. It's like a tap. It starts kind of right at the edge where the two meet in the center. And then I come down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go up so that I can see that transition from light to darker, but there's no hard edge. See that?
Yeah.
And then I can take this and I can create sky around here. And I can also take that medium color and kind of bring it down and
Mhm.
blend it into the base. So everything has to be blended softly into each other. This is why we do clouds first. And Rashmi, I really actually like the results of that technique. I know you're like thinking it's a fail, but I think it actually is kind of helping.
Oh,
I think it's pretty. I think your sky looks pretty. Like there's little bits of orange coming through it.
Mm.
Yeah. So once again, Rashmi, I need to see your shadow mix for your clouds. I don't see
Yeah,
any.
I'm just making that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
try that.
I'm just making it now.
And I really think it's pretty. I think you're going to be very happy with the end result. I think you're going to really like it. Having some of those oranges come through is not so bad. So use less water. Use a less watery brush when you start laying your clouds down. Make sure you tap it like this. When you take it out of the water, you tap it with your paper towel a bunch of times so it's not so wet. Oops.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Oh, there's so much going on in this lesson in terms of, and it's okay, guys, if you don't totally get it. This is a new tool that we're learning how to use. And we're learning a lot of things. We're learning about mixing. We're learning about mark making. We're learning about how to get the brush to make that mark. So this is all practice. We'll be doing this for months. Hello. Oh, better, Anik. Nice.
Thank you.
You-
I'm gonna send you another cloud.
Yeah, send me another cloud. Cover
This
that
one is-
thing with clouds.
This one is a crazy cloud.
Is that your little one? Or is that
Yes,
just you?
that's him.
Gorgeous. Tell him to add some white on top of his crazy cloud. I think it's great, but if he wants to try something different,
I'll try.
try some white. I don't know if he's in that mode, or he should just do what he wants.
It's more the I do whatever I want, and I like blue. That's the mode right now.
I feel you. I feel you, kid. Say sometimes that's a different kind of sky. So you guys we have about 20 minutes left. I want you to practice these mixing. So there's the challenge of the mixing the right color, right? Not too orange, not too dark, not too light. Here, I'll put this down here.
Oh.
And then it's getting the colors that you want that aren't too muddy on top, where you get a more vibrant color. Hey, lady, pose for the camera. Everybody wants to see you. Here, hold on. This is the ultimate. Oh, nice, Diana. So Diana's playing with color a lot. But notice that her clouds are still lighter on the top, and there's no strong line between her light and her dark edges. Beautiful. And look at how that blue pops next to the yellow or orange. Can you see that? How that blue sky just boom comes straight forward. That is a great example of popping. Beautiful, Diana. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
Muka, look at me. There we go.
I
Here's
just
Muka.
needed a little break from my cat.
Yes, yeah, and it's a fun practice, right? Like
Yeah,
playing with color.
It is.
We're actually going to move to more dramatic clouds like that in the next lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to do a kind of sunset with dramatic colors in the sky. So it'll be much more fun and less subtle and very colorful. So that's a great preview as well of what we'll be doing next week. But notice the technique, still very distinct. There's Muka. She says, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mocha.
Muka. She's like, I don't know why my mommy got that other cat. He's such a jerk.
So
He's such a jerk. We actually managed to have them together once again for about 45 minutes without him just attacking her. And then he couldn't help himself. That's right. He's just a little jerk. That's right.
He just wants to play.
He does. He does. Yeah. I mean, when we say jerk, you know.
Yeah.
He doesn't know any. He doesn't know any better. But you know, actually, my vet described the age he was in as the jerky adolescent age.
But the worst part is that it's adult cats that can teach them. Like, no, now you're annoying. Like, now you're biting too hard, or
Right.
and
right.
he's not getting that.
Well, he is. She's giving it to him.
Oh.
She's giving it to him. And when he gets a little bit more mellow, we're going to let them work it out a little bit more. But just now he's too crazy.
Yeah, it will pass.
It will pass. Yes, I hope. I believe.
Maybe.
Rashmi, are these your shadow colors?
yeah, I mean, I tried these three.
They're
Yeah.
too red, honey. Way too red. So you need a lot more
What do I
blue
add?
and a lot
Okay.
more yellow ochre. You did.
Okay.
Oh, those are the 3 colors that you're thinking about using.
Yeah, okay, I made a mistake. I think I just used the other
Yeah.
yellow. Yes,
Look
that's
at
why I
the-
was thinking, why isn't come? Yeah.
Look
my
at,
bad.
and also you're using, if it's too red, it's because you're using too much red. So back
Yeah,
off the red,
true.
make a new mix with more yellow and much less red, right? Don't take, so this is the big mistake people make in mixing. You guys are going to make it over and over again. I'm going to show you right now. You think that you should take equal colors, equal halves of colors. I should take this much white and this much blue, this much red, let's say, and I should mix them all together, equal amounts. That's actually the perfect color. No, not quite the perfect color.
So is it basically ultramarine blue, ochre, yellow ochre, and red?
Yes,
Is
and
it
then
the mix of
white.
these 3 colors?
And
And then
white.
some white. Okay.
And white.
Okay.
So mix the 3 colors, but it's not that. It's little bits. Their colors can be, some colors are overpowering. The darker colors are overpowering. So it's probably a little bit more ochre, a little bit less red, touches of blue. You know, it's not half and half.
Got it.
That's not what you want. So all of the time when you're mixing, your tendency, like a little kid, is to want to go clump, clump. And that is not, that won't, what happens is it creates this color that you can't get rid of. No matter how much you feed other things into it, you will not be able to get rid of it.
Just a disclaimer, I don't have the right brush, so I will just do it off the
Okay.
recording.
Right.
Because-
Okay. Annika and Emma. Emma, better. Annika, you have a very hard line in your shadow, and your shadow is way too dark.
Okay.
So so do you see that hard line?
Yeah.
So I want you to stop and watch me build a cloud. I want you to watch me. Okay. So I'm starting with before you try to do this again, because the problem is in your brushwork. Well, it's in your mixing too, but the problem is really in the brushwork. So watch this. I've got my shadow. Oh, wait, I need more blue. There we go. I've got my shadow in like this. See that?
Mm-hmm.
My shadow's here. Now I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to dry my brush. And then I'm going to add, I'm going to load my brush with white, and I'm going to start tapping. So I've got a lot of color on here. I'm going to start tapping at the edge of where the shadow is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go up, going in kind of larger circles. And then I'm going to come down and brush a little bit more of that soft edge into the dark so that I've got a dark edge, right? It's still dark, but it's not so dramatic.
Okay. So then I need to get the dark edge wet again to do that,
Yep,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Both edges
Okay.
need to be, yeah. So you're going to need to go over with both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can do that I can do that here. So here I can go over because this is pretty dry, right? So that's a harder edge. I don't want the edge that hard on my cloud.
No.
So I'm going over with white. Yeah. Now I
I have
have
to
the
go
edge.
now, guys.
Yeah.
Lovely to see
Now
you
I have
all.
the edge. All right, Emma.
Bye.
Did you know that we're doing we're doing a beginning drawing
Drawing
class?
yes.
We're doing a beginning drawing class.
Yeah, we'll try and join.
Awesome. All right, we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, thank you, Leah.
Happy
Bye,
New
everybody.
Year.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye,
Bye.
Happy New Year.
You can also try blending with your fingers. Sometimes it works. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Widzę właśnie. Podoba ci się to, co robię?
I really love it that we have kids working with adults, your friends, your roommates. You know, it's no problem for us if they join. Not obviously people who are in other, we don't want to like invite people who are not part of the program and not in your house, but anybody
What
who's in
about
your
spouses?
spouses, I mean, if they're in your house, yeah.
I have a friend. He's not interested in painting. He's a colleague, but his wife would love to do.
She can join if she's
But she'd have-
if she's connected to Reuters. Just send her the information.
Oh, okay, cool. She was interested in watercolor.
We're not going there until everybody is. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's so much harder than everything else. But anyways,
I know.
those will be till April. Those will be April. But she's welcome to join as long as she's connected, as long as she's married to. Ooh,
Absolutely.
Anik, now we're starting to get somewhere. You might want
Thank
to
you.
darken a little bit. You could go back a little bit and darken a little bit here.
Yep.
I'll
try.
Nice. Now it's starting to look pretty. Now I'm starting to feel like I'm laying down. Good job, you guys. Getting there. I'll be right back. Hold on.
It's hard.
Leah,
Oh, did you chase him out? All right.
Leah.
She's not there, I guess. She just went
Oh.
somewhere.
Does anybody remember where the teal comes in? We put the teal before the clouds.
I don't know.
think after.
I would use the teal in the sky, but I didn't listen. So
You would or you wouldn't?
I would use it in the sky, the teal.
Hold on.
Right.
But
you would use it in the sky.
Yeah.
Thanks, Diane. Oh, I spoke to Michael, by the way. Very nice.
Oh, you did? Could we
Yeah,
have-
very nice. I spoke to him yesterday. He needs to find, I think, one of his
Rashmi,
colleagues.
it's a bit, it's too red. More blue, more yellow.
Okay.
Way too red. So this is so red that, can you hear me actually, as I'm saying that?
Yeah. Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Even the lighter one has a lot of red.
Yes,
Okay.
too much red. And
So
and that's
more
too
blue,
much
more
water
yellow.
in that upper one. You need to have less water and more paint. So you're not using enough paint. So work on your mixing.
Yeah.
You know, Rashmi, because of the sort of rocky beginning where you were switching places, I think that's thrown you off this time. So you might also want to try this lesson again.
Yeah,
When I post a video, which will
I
be
will.
shortly.
Sure.
Also, I do.
I don't know. I think my ochre is too reddish. That is the problem.
Is
I
it
think,
yellow ochre?
Yes, it says burnt ochre. So
Well, that's
it is
not.
quite
That's not
low.
yellow ochre.
Yeah,
That's not
that's why
yellow
I think
ochre.
it's just giving a tinge of
Yeah.
brown
So you
already.
need to
And brown has
use.
red.
So you need to use a more yellow. Try a couple more different colors of yellow.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I have a light cadmium yellow and a cadmium yellow.
You can
Okay,
try
I'll just
that.
mix
It'll
something up.
probably make it a little bit greener than you'd like.
Mm.
Maybe a cad yellow medium is better.
So what are the next steps? Once I get this color, then I have to make the cloud shapes and then the teal
Okay,
color.
I want you to watch me. Watch me.
Yeah.
And I will show you. Once you get your mix, don't do anything
Yeah.
but watch me.
Mm.
I'm pulling my shadow color. I'm going to start by, let's see, I'm going to move this up so you can really see it. I'm going to start by painting the bottom of my cloud, which is in shadow, like this. See how I'm laying my color down? And then I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to tap it. I'm not going to show you because I want to do it quickly. And also I'm out of white here. Hold on.
So you first put the teal layer on top of your blue?
No, honey, stop.
Is the dark blue?
You're overthinking this. I want you to watch what I'm
Okay.
doing and pay attention. So
But before you
already,
put the cloud, Leah, isn't there
Yeah.
the teal?
what's that? This
The
was
dark
the
color.
base. This was the base color.
But didn't you
So-
add some teal?
I did.
Oh, that's what we're
Okay,
asking
yeah.
about.
Oh, but
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's not right now in the process, and that's why I'm
But it's
resisting.
before the
answering.
cloud.
No, it's not before the cloud. I actually added the teal later. So that's why
Okay,
I'm saying
okay.
stop, don't confuse the process. I have a sky base of whatever color I've got, right?
Yeah.
Whatever color I laid
Yeah,
down. Stop thinking about teal. I did that later. Now I'm laying, while this is still wet, I'm loading my brush with white and I'm going over the edge. I'm tapping over the edge where the light meets the dark. I'm taking a little bit more white. I'm going up. And then I'm coming down in and brushing the white lightly into the shadow so that there's still a shadow. There's still a transition between light and dark, but it's not as dramatic. So once again,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this again.
That's how a cloud is actually, like
Yep.
it's denser at the bottom and lighter
That's right.
at the top. Yeah.
And in the middle. And in
Yeah,
the
in
middle.
the middle, yes.
So once again, I'll do a little one. Tap, tap, tap. Clean my brush, tap it off, load my brush with white. Right at the edge, I'm tapping.
Yeah.
I'm going in a circle that gets sort of gradually bigger and bigger. And then I'm pulling down lightly into the dark with my white. So that you can see it's a slightly darker, and if I need to, I can make this a little bit lighter. So there's a slight dark to light transition, but it's not so strong. See that? Light, there's a darker here, and then it gets lighter. So that's the technique. Later, you can add, later I added teal like this. After I added that in, I added teal and white around the edge here. So if I want to shape my cloud, I can pull. See how I'm pulling some of the sky. So I thought my cloud maybe got a little big. So I can take my sky and do that same thing, but everything's kind of this little tapping motion to change the sky color after I get the cloud. See? And I want everything, all the edges to be soft. There we go.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, now
Let's
this
see.
will take time to understand mixing colors.
Yes,
but
it's going to take you time to understand mixing colors. Absolutely. Mixing colors is not easy. We're going to talk more about it each week. Having the right colors is important, using the right amounts. In this particular case, I'm going to do, we've only got a couple minutes left. I'm going to one more time show you how to mix the shadow. So perhaps watch instead of trying to do it. I have some blue here.
My sky looks like a pond.
You can go over and fix that. You got
I
blue.
tried. This is the fixed version.
Hold on just a second. Blue.
it's not visible. Yeah, I think.
I know, hold on.
Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna,
Yeah, sorry.
let me just get it on here and then we'll go there. Or because you don't have that, I'll try a little bit of this yellow and then red. Oh, come on. Yeah. Okay. So when you're mixing cloud colors, it's, there we go. Okay. Tiny bit of yellow, bit of red. Gesundheit.
Oh, thank you.
Look at how much red. Look at how the red just completely dominates. So I'm actually pulling off more yellow on the sides. So I have something that's more orange. I'm grabbing a tiny touch of blue and mixing it in. Tiny touch. And then I'm testing it to see how it looks with white. So if it's too yellow, I'll bring in a little bit more blue into my mix. See? If it's too red.
Yeah.
So it's little bits at a time. What I'm going for is kind of a mauvey blue. Sorry, gray. I'm going for kind of a mauvey gray. It's not really, let's see how that looks on here. Oh yeah, that's nice. Maybe I put a little bit more blue in. You'll see I do a lot of mixing right on the canvas. I'll just grab the color when I'm like, oh, that's not quite the right color. Oops, sorry, now you can't see that. Right, so I'm testing it to see, oh, is that the color I want? And then once again, white. So mixing is a very subtle, mixing and brushwork are very subtle businesses. It's not clumpy. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. Here, I'll take a picture of this so you guys can see it. And that's okay. It's okay to have a bumpy start with acrylic. Now you're starting to just get used to it. It's a whole other tool and it behaves in an entirely different way. Anik, very light, nice. It still looks like your shadows are a little bit, found an old one, excellent. Still looks a little bit like your shadows are a little bit orangey.
Yeah,
A
they
way to
are
mix a
good,
little bit more blue. Cool. Okay. Like I said, we're adjusting to the new way. Here, I'm going to send these over so you can see them in color. These are mine. They do look a little like water lilies. So Sandra,
Yes, they do.
I would say this isn't as bad as you think it is. If you don't like that sky, you can cover it with something else. But what I would say is, your clouds are a little too symmetrical.
Small.
They're kind of all the same.
Right.
And that dark line, what happened is you lost your mid-tone, right? So what we really want is something more of a middle rather than a dark. So you have this little dark edge, which is pretty sharp. So what I would do
They
is
need to be more
lay in.
mixed.
Yeah, and a lot of times this happens with mixing. You're going to have to like several times go back over your area. So you can go right over the bottom with more gray like this. See how I'm going right over the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to load my brush with white again. And I'm going to try, I'm really trying to tap that. So first I'm tapping that edge out with white so that I don't see the strong line. Okay. And then I'm brushing, I'm pulling a little bit down with the white, but not that much. So that there's a transition, but it's very subtle. See
Right.
that?
Yes.
So it's a practice. Like I said, it's a challenging practice. And next week we're going to try more dramatic clouds. So the more dramatic clouds will have a more, ooh, Olga, nice. I like the edges. I like the shape. Nice. Yeah, add a little bit more white in the center,
Yeah.
kind of coming
okay.
out like that. Very nice. And if you feel like your cloud gets out of control, right, because you're adding white on, and if you've got too much white, you can mix a little bit of sky background. So here I'm going back to my teal mix. And I'm, that might not be, I'll add a little bit of blue there to make it darker. Right? And I can go back in and bring sky down into the top of the cloud.
Nice.
So I can see, I can cut it back.
Yeah.
So if I feel like I want to vary my shape a little bit more, like I lost it. And so in this case, Olga, I'm taking the dark color and bringing it into the lighter color. Yeah. Uh-oh, my battery's about to run out. Let's see what happens here. Hold on. See that?
Yeah, so we're adding some skies to the clouds.
You can keep playing. Yeah, you can keep playing. What we're doing is we're doing something called, we're playing with edges. You're going to hear this happen. All painting is playing with edges. It's going to where the edges are, where the sky, and there are edges. There are two types of edges here. The first edge is where the white meets the dark part of the cloud. And the second edge is where the cloud meets the sky. So all the time when we're looking at why does this not look right? Maybe this cloud's a little too thick. So I might bring my sky in here too, right? Oh, I don't think I really have enough color on my palette anymore. So there's a constant corrective process. This is what Diana says when she means I like acrylic because I can just wait 10 minutes and then go over it. This is how we erase with paint. Right? See? We take one edge and we bring it in and on top of the other.
I like painting clouds just because you mix on the canvas so easily.
Yeah. You can do a
So
lot
sure.
of mixing on the canvas. I am a big mixer on the canvas. I really love to mix on the canvas. Some people like to have their colors mixed, and that's also totally valid. But I find I tend to I still mix, I still do a fair amount of adjusting. And it's particularly good with oil because oil takes a while to dry, so it's not so challenging, right? So see, I'm kind of pulling in my sky so that my clouds just aren't so dramatic. He doesn't like it? I can like it. Anik, doesn't he? Oh, Annika. What's wrong, Annika?
No, I sent that by mistake, I swear.
Oh,
I
I was like, do you need to talk about something?
No, it was weird. I couldn't take a picture. I was like, why can't I take a picture? Because I was stuck on the emojis, and I was like, now everyone's going to think I'm sad. I'm not.
I'm like, are you okay? Oh my God, that's so funny.
Maybe it was my subconscious, but I'm fine.
So let this be, wherever you guys are at with this assignment, let it be okay. We are going to a new, I really like Mateo's, I like Mateo's painting. Oh, very nice, Diana. So
Thank
you'll
you.
notice, look at Diana's painting of her cat right now. There are very few hard edges. The only hard edges that are really there is the mouth line, the lines around the edges of the eyes, a little bit that blue line that's distinguishing the front ear on the right side, almost every, and the edges around the edge of the cat where the cat meets the background. Everything else is soft. See how they blend into each other, even the darks, and maybe a little bit on her shadows right now, but ultimately she's going to blend that out. She's going to blend that out. But now you're going to understand more clearly what her process is. It's fascinating, isn't it? I'm going to remove the spotlight, put us in gallery view. It's completely fascinating, isn't it? It's a whole new level of thing. So if it didn't work for you today, don't worry. There's a massive learning curve happening. There's no shame in jumping into one of the other classes to try this again. There's no shame in watching the videos, right? Next week, we're going to do more clouds, but we're going to do them more dramatically. We're going to work on a kind of dramatic cloud. The way Diana showed us those colors, we're going to work on that idea, which I think will feel better. And we're going to keep practicing this mixing as we're doing it. So don't feel bad if like you feel like, oh, my clouds look crappy, you know, like, or they don't look right, or, oh, I didn't get the mixes right and all of that. And it's all good. Like this is the beginning of a new like frontier. Here, hold on. I'm going to shut my. And you know how I'm always like, no. Like, right? Like with our thinking has to be retrained to do, our thinking has to be retrained when we're building something on a two-dimensional surface and trying to make it look 3D. So the things you think you need to do are never the things that you do. Just note our instincts, our left brain instincts completely don't help us here. Anyways, very, very nice, guys. So for those of you who might join the class tomorrow, drawing starts at 9:30 a.m. LA time, beginning drawing 12:30 p.m. New York, DC time, 6:30 p.m. Europe time, and 11 p.m. India time. Sorry, that's super late, but it'll change when we go back to daylight savings. When we go back an hour, things will change.
Leah, what is the class tonight?
It's just going to be an open,
okay.
You're just going to bring a project and work on it.
Okay.
Next week, we'll start with clouds on them.
These clouds?
And Sunday is that 9 a.m.?
Yeah, what's that? Oh, yeah. And then Sunday at 9 a.m., there will be a LA. So, and Sunday, there will be a pastel landscape drawing class taught by Marie. Starting at 9 a.m. LA time, starting at noon New York, DC time, starting at 6 p.m. Europe time, and
You've become
starting,
very good at this.
yeah, and then starting at 10:30
10:30
p.m.
10:30.
India time. So if you want to do that, I would totally recommend doing that. It'll be a little bit easier because you'll be going back to something that you're more used to using, pastels, but still talking about color mixing, still talking about underpainting, all of that stuff. All right, you guys. We'll
Thank
see
you very
next
much,
week. Very
Leah.
nice, kind of.
Have a good day,
Really
guys.
means you've been
What
baptized.
time is the open art session?
What's
Today,
that?
like
I think the open art session is going to be too late for you, honey. It'll be 3 in the morning.
oh,
However, there is one that Diana is doing on Thursdays
Yeah.
at this time.
Same time.
At this
Yeah.
time,
No, it's the same time as today.
right?
Yeah.
It's 9:30 p.m.
9:30.
India time. So every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. India time, there will be an open painting or drawing session held by Diana, and you can join. Olga does a lot. Natalia has sometimes. You can join that.
Sandra,
Yeah,
Yes, come. It's fun. Sandra comes. So like use it as this. I mean, now basically you have an art class every day of the week except Monday and Tuesday. So,
Wow.
and soon that will probably change too. All right, you guys. Happy New Year. Great work
Happy New
today.
Year. Thank
Good
you.
pushing. Bye. We'll see you
See you
soon.
soon.
See ya, see ya,
Bye.
see ya.
Thank you.
Bye.